Hello and welcome once again to the Summoner's Guide to Final Fantasy XIV. This time we are going to take on the second part of the Crystal Tower trilogy of 24-player raids. This one is Syrcus Tower, and is, in my opinion, the easiest of the three. There are still a few mechanics to watch out for, but for the most part, this is really going to be a pushover. All right, so to begin, you can go left or right, it really doesn't matter. Both stairways are going to take you to the same place. And this is going to have a pattern of trash pull, then boss, and then repeat that twice more. There is not a separate trash pull between the third and fourth bosses. So hopefully the tanks will pull as many enemies into a tight clump as possible, allowing you to do everything you need to do with Bane and Shadow Flare and Kindle and all of those other wonderful AoE moves. Gosh, I didn't need to do that. Now, throughout a lot of these fights, enemies will just sort of continue to spawn throughout, so you might need to fight 2 or 3 waves of enemies before you can pass to the next stairway leading to the next level of the tower. Again, wherever you're presented a choice to go left or right, it really doesn't matter which you pick. I will refresh Ether Flow at this point. Alright, so the first boss is Scylla. Scylla is not... Scylla at one point had a lot of mechanics you had to worry about. Nowadays, the DPS is so high that a lot of mechanics are just frankly ignored. But a lot of it really... The mechanics that are still used involve the 3 tethers. The fire tether, the ice tether, and the lightning tether. If you get a lightning tether, like the ones you see right now, you need to run the tether into one of those electrical pillars you see right there. Each pillar can take 3 tethers. It'll show a little colored ring around it when you run the tether to it. So if you see one already having 3 tethers, or 3 circles, run the tether to another pillar. If you get an ice tether, it will freeze you wherever it hits you. If you get a fire tether, you need to try to run the fire tether into a frozen player. This will cause the player to, the ice that the frozen player is in to melt, and will generate puddles on the floor. As you see some of the puddles sitting over, like that puddle sitting right in front of you. Now, I went ahead and positioned myself relatively close to the boss when I got my ice tether, so that somebody with a fire tether can run their fire tether into me. Now, you don't want to run the fire tether into a puddle of water, it will evaporate the water. Now eventually, she's going to cast Ancient Flare. When she does, you want to be standing in one of the puddles of water. That's why it's important to melt your allies that are frozen, not just because you want them to continue fighting, but because that generates the puddles that you need to protect yourself from that attack. Now, she will usually do that a couple times and then use an attack called Daybreak, which basically requires everybody to be standing on certain paths throughout the arena. It has been a few years since I've seen the fight get far enough that Daybreak is a mechanic you have to worry about. So, don't worry about it. Just DPS her down, deal with the Ancient Flare mechanic and all the tethers as you need to, and move on. If you ever decide to play this with a group that's running minimum eye level, then you'll have to worry about the Daybreak mechanic, and you can deal with that when the time comes, but most people don't play minimum eye level, so you probably will never have to worry about it. Alright, this next trash pull, not much harder than the first. I should have waited for the tank to gather up the adds a little better before dropping Shadow Flare. Alright, that Gomery needs to go down. Alright, when that first group of ads comes down, we get a second phase with the green dragon. And then a bunch of clones will appear. And they can be really hard to group up. So most often you'll just take them down one at a time. But with 24 players working on it, it's not going to take long. Did I ever actually roll on that? No, I didn't. I'm going to roll on that. That's glamour gear. Some of the gear sets you get in the 24-player dungeons are actually pretty cool. So I wouldn't mind renting this and getting the full Scylla set. I don't remember how it looks on female characters. Oh, slow down, pal. I'm not even in the arena yet. Now I'm ready. Alright, this is another boss that has plenty of mechanics that you'll never actually see. So, basically, the way this is going to be fought is you're just going to be pouring on the DPS as usual. And I'll point out a few mechanics as they show up. The Disco Fun Discs of Doom. Get out! Don't be in those. All right. These Clockwork Rites are. I believe providing him buffs, but as you can see, we're really not worrying about him. Our DPS is so heavy at this point that really any protection he puts up is not going to be an issue. Again, this fight used to have a lot of complicated mechanics to it, but now, I mean, basically you saw a third of what the fight used to be. There's a lot of things that happen later in the fight if you don't just absolutely destroy him like parties are wont to do nowadays. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, the last two fights, you are going to have to deal with all the mechanics for the last two boss fights. As a lot of them are based on the percentage of health that the boss is at, rather than being based on time, as the mechanics in the first two bosses are. Alright, so first in this encounter, take out the Azers. While the dragon rains fireballs on you, he's then going to target somebody and fly in a straight line toward him. Then he'll land, drop a few more ads. Even in the late 2.x series, even before everybody was as so amazingly geared as they are now, this was still it did not take very long for this to become a very easy run. One of my favorite memories of the early years of this game was a Syrcus Tower run where basically nobody was taking it seriously at all, and there was some of the most entertaining chat I have ever seen in a dungeon run. It was the stuff of legends. And we still played the dungeon very well, because it was... We were all good players and we just didn't really care. Alright, so in this you kind of want to spread out by alliance if you can. I'm going to stay here and deal with the mechanics on this end of the arena. Basically, throughout the fight, ads are going to pop up that you're going to need to deal with. Right there, experimental byproduct number 66. You want to kill him or kill these guys before they get to the center of the arena with Amon. Alright, then the Kumkums will come out. And at some point, a couple of the players will get tethers that you can run in, that whenever the tether hits something, that little orb, it's going to shrink them. You want to run the tether, if you get a tether, you want to run it into a Kumkum. There's some more experimental byproduct. This one is number 33. Kill that. Yeah, there it is. The last song. That occurred because one of the byproducts got into the middle. And it silences everybody. So, you don't want that to happen, because that prevents the healers from being able to heal. Alright, once you've dealt with all the ads, go back to focusing on Amon. Now, at some point during the fight, and it may have already happened, although I'm not seeing anybody. Oh, there it is. It's about to happen. I'm going to stand right here. Certain players are going to be turned into ice cubes. Now, you can, as a frog, other players are going to be turned into frogs. The snakes are going to try to eat the frogs. The frogs need to run around. Then he's going to cast Curtain Call. If Curtain Call is cast, everybody needs to get behind one of the ice cubes. That will protect them from that attack. Now, if you're a frog, you can actually use a fire attack to break an ice cube. But you really don't want to do that, because you need the ice cubes to stay alive when Xenon uses Curtain Call. After Curtain Call, you really don't have anything else to worry about other than taking off that last chunk of health. And I'm going to roll on some loot. I actually don't need that or that. I'll roll on an Allergen Catalyst, though. Alright. I'll skip this. People are already doing a ready check. Alright, I did the old Summoner 2 step. Run around the corner so that so you make sure that your pet gets into the arena. Alright. This is another boss fight where it's good to spread out. So I'm going to move over here. Make sure my camera zoomed out all the way. Burning Rave. So we had the disco discs of doom in the second fight, and now we have the Burning Rave in this fight. So we had the 70s and then the 80s. Okay, when these little spheres pop up, everybody needs to get into it. Well, not everybody needs to get into a circle, but there needs to be at least one person in every circle. Any unoccupied circles will explode and hit the entire raid. If multiple circles explode, that's probably going to end up wiping. So that's why everybody needs to be spread out. Well, that's one reason everybody needs to be spread out. Here is the other reason. When he jumps up, he'll put stonefall circles on the outside of the arena. The starfire... Start that over. A starfall circle in the center of the arena. Take out the stonefall circles first, then move on to the starfall circle. The stonefall circle, and basically little rocks will be falling toward those circles. The stonefall circles do a pretty big amount of damage, but not enough to instantly wipe the raid. The starfall circle pretty much will wipe the raid. At least that's what I'm given to understand. Any more of those don't actually happen. Okay, when that attack goes off, a platform will show up. You need to get onto the little raised platform when he casts Ancient Quagga, then immediately move away because the Burning Rave is going to happen. I'll give you another shot to see that because I didn't really explain that well. Basically, immediately after he comes back into the arena, after the Stonefall circles and Starfall circle, he'll mark 3 players with that basically the dark area AoE. You don't necessarily need to get hit by that AoE, but you do need to get hit by, but as soon as the AoE resolves, you will need to get, let me start that over. As soon as that AoE goes off, there will be basically little glowy platforms that will appear under where the AoE went off. You need to make sure you're standing on that platform, because that will prevent you from getting hit by the Ancient Quagga attack. I'll demonstrate it again. I'm still suffering from cold or allergies or whatever I have. I'm still in a little bit of a haze. Alright, so watch for the Dark Circle AoEs. As soon as it resolves, get up onto that platform. And then when Ancient Quagga goes off, move to the outside, because immediately after he'll cast Burning Rave, and it'll probably bunch up, and there'll be probably about 7 or 8 of them stacked together, and that will wipe you if you get hit by... That'll kill you instantly if you get hit by all of that. So don't get hit by all of that. After you've dealt with that whole sequence of the circles and the Ancient Quagga twice, then just whittle him down. And that's all she wrote. Again, first half is easy, it's brutally easy. Second half, still pretty easy, but with a few mechanics that you have to worry about. But I'd say this is definitely the easiest of the 24-player runs. I don't need any of this stuff. I'll roll in the Onion Knight. No, I'll pass on those. I didn't get anything. Okay. Well, that's alright. Because I cleared Syrcus Tower and I got all sorts of tomestones from that. I really need to go upgrade my gear. So that's Syrcus Tower, the second of 3 24-player dungeons. Next, we're going to probably do the 3 4-player dungeons for patch 2.3. And until then, have a great day.